Hi everyone! So I've been sitting here for a good part of 20 minutes trying to figure out what to paint, and it's a Friday that I'm filming on. It has been super busy and really difficult week, but with a very good ending. So I was on a really kind of high yesterday, and today for some reason I thought, you know, because I have the time and it's kind of feeling really good finally, that I will really, you know, pick up a brush and just start painting. But I don't know what happened. My inspiration just completely left me. So I grabbed one of my watercolor books from long ago. I mean, it's basically, I had it for so long that the edges of it started yellowing a little bit, so it must be a good 7 years maybe, I don't know. And this book is the Watercolor Textures by Blockley, and it is a very good book if you're into watercolors and you're keen to learn about textures. I quite like quite a few pieces of her work, in particular this Orchid, which seems to be so free, and what I like about it is the negative painting. And I like this textural effect, which seems to be happening in a lot of Anne's paintings. And I presume that this is a kind of Mars black watercolor. Not sure what brand it could be that she's using, what type of watercolor she's using. But I've got a Schmincke Horadam Mars black. Now, Mars black is called Mars black for a reason, because it just, when you paint with it, is super granulating and it separates into these beautiful black speckles, which is what makes me think that she's using some sort of Mars black in her watercolors. And you can see that everywhere. You can see it in the black paint, you can see it in the green. So she mixes the Mars black in a lot of paints, which is actually what Mars black is great for. It doesn't change the color as much, so you can mix up whichever color, add a bit of Mars black, and it will sort of do the magic. So anyways, I will use that one and work on the kind of the background and the Orchid, which is a bit different to how I usually work, but hopefully you will find this quite useful, because negative painting is really fun in watercolors. So let me just grab my watercolors and we can start. In terms of watercolor, I will use my palette, custom palette that I created. So there's a link below that if you click on it, it will bring you to a video that I talk about all of these colors, and then also there are links to all of these paints if you want to buy any. I'm going to grab my Jackson's Quill brush 10-0 and water, of course. I've got a little bit of a dirty water here, but I don't think that will change anything, simply because I'm just trying to squeeze my cup of tea somewhere, because I don't need to have very clean colors here. I will also grab a piece of tissue, of course, and I will use it to reduce the amount of water, like that, and I can pretty much start. Okay, so to begin with, I'm just going to look at the Orchid and see where I need to start mapping out the shape of it. Now, before I do that, I also need to squeeze out some of this Mars black into my palette. I'll go straight in. It's a really neat book, and because I haven't really looked at it for a long time, I kind of forgot about it. But yeah, it's really inspiring. And so let's see, just figuring out where to put the watercolors so they're not in my way. Okay, so I'm going to mix up a green. In fact, here I have a green which is not from this palette, but it's that Schmincke. I'll put it in the title below because I can't quite remember, with that black, which seems to be a good color. And I'm going to add a bit more water, and I'm going to start by placing this color about here, and I can see that it's very opaque at the minute, which I don't want it to be like that, so I'm just going to start by doing this with a bit of black in there. This green actually won't work really well because it's super opaque, so I'm going to go into sap green, which will be a better color. Yeah, and then I'm going to add that black into here, and I think the shape here is about like that. I really like her loose kind of interpretation of these lovely flowers. Okay, so this is a really good green I've got going here, so I'm just going to continue, but you see she doesn't have the same color kind of going through, so this is what I'm trying to do, just to change it up a little bit, and just like that, bit of black in, just straight into the watercolor. I think it's called charging it into the watercolor, and then I'm going to go into the blue and just let the two colors mix in. Already we have something gorgeous happening, and soon enough you will see the black watercolor starting to granulate and separate. So this probably might be a bit too dark. I will also need to think about this petal right here. I mean, I'm not really trying to copy the shape of these, but it's good to have a vague kind of idea of what's happening. So I'll probably just leave it at that. Looks a little bit odd at the minute, I have to say, but that's okay. And then I'm just going to connect this, add a little bit of black, and just make it move a little so it's not too abrupt. Then we have this color here, which is a great color, and I'm just going to touch in. Sorry I'm not telling you all the colors, but hopefully you can see the palette right here, and then you can look up on the links there, because sometimes if I start telling or trying to tell all the colors as I go, what tends to happen is I lose my track of what I'm doing and the concentration. So I'm trying to work a little bit on this side right here, and actually I really like that blue, how it was just here, so I'm just going to go back into this blue and probably leave it at that. And then I will add also this blue round about here and just let it do its own thing by just adding some water. And let's see, also a bit of this black in between, like that, with a bit of this green, like so, and again a bit more water. And also the other nice thing that she does is she uses this sort of watercolor by kind of going in and creating these kind of lines almost like that, and I'll try to do that somehow here. Not sure if I like it or not, but I'm trying something new. And let's see. No, I don't like this one, so I'm just going to blend it in a little. Actually, don't like this one either. Just, you know, do and go as you like. No one is forcing you to do something that doesn't feel natural to you. That's how I feel about this. There's no force. And there should never be force. Like, you know, you should just take something that you really like from an artist and make it your own. Okay, so I think I'll leave it at that. Right, so I'm going to start working on the petals. And I'm going to start probably at the center of it, which is this lovely red. And I'm going to mix up my own. By adding a bit of yellow to warm it up, and then I'm just going to create that gorgeous vibrant lip. I'm trying to change up the color slightly as I go. I want to have different tones in there, and I will also let the green come in here. And then I'm going to go into the quinacridone gold, like so, and then into this black, and just charge it in again a little bit into here for that darkness. And let's see, so I'm going to let it dry a little, just a touch, while it's drying, which is also going to change that yellow slightly. And now I'm going to go into working back with the green and trying to mix up lovely green colors. And let's see, so at the minute I have too much water and not enough pigment, so I'm just going to get rid of the excess water, and then just around here we want to create these kind of stripy effects with a bit of yellow into it, like so. I'm trying to be really not precious with it and kind of just let it happen. And let it move and just do its own thing sometimes. That really helps. Okay, so that looks all right-ish, but I really need to add some detail, I feel like. Okay, I'm going to go back into the red part here, and hopefully now I can create a little more detail. I'm now going to mix that with the black to make it a bit darker. And I'm trying to create these few little speckles. Like that. If I'm going to put it, or too many of them, wherever it's still wet, then they're going to spread and we're not going to have that strong effect, but you're going to at least have these kind of natural looking speckles, if that makes sense. And I think I like it the way it is right now, but there's just something about the shapes of these leaves that I wish I could correct a little bit more. So I'm just going to try and darken up wherever I can. So this actually looks quite nice. And this needs to be quite a bit darker. And I think just a little more contrast over here. And just let it spread out. Okay, so I think that works quite well. I might just do a couple of these lines like that. I think that's quite good. And finally, just a little bit of green on top. And I think I will leave it at that. So it's really, really bright and colorful. I think I could still do a few things around it, but it's just the question about how far do you want to go, and you know, are you willing to risk ruining something, etc., etc. So I think I'm quite happy at the moment, and I'll probably just leave it at that and dry the watercolor and then show you what it looks like up close. Okay, so I actually have gone ahead. I don't know if you can notice much of a difference straight away, but I will add some images at the end of the video of the before and after. So I've gone ahead and added some pencils, and I couldn't record that footage because my battery was pretty much dead. So I haven't gone everywhere, just a little bit around the petals in some areas, as well as mostly around the center of the area, and some of the green parts of the leaf here, of the petal, and the stamen as well a little bit. So that just kind of for me lifted it a little bit more, because I felt that I couldn't achieve that here with the watercolor by its own, and so that's why I created that bit of a texture there, and tried to make it a bit more dimensional on that orangey part right here, which I think made it kind of pop out a little bit more. But yeah, in general, I'm really kind of happy with these colors, and it feels a bit more fluid and kind of moving around and less constructed, and really, really beautiful. I couldn't get my Mars Black to work in the same way as Anne did over here, where you can see the separation of the pigment quite strongly. I wonder how she did that, but all in all, I'm quite happy with it, and it was super fun. So yeah, I hope you found this enjoyable to watch, and thanks for watching, and see you soon.